Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tola. If you're new here, you're just joining us for the first time. This is our lovely community. We create content based on healthcare. We also share vlogs on our life here in the UK. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the differences between care homes and community.
Babies, your girl is back. This video is posted on Tola's channel and on my channel. So anywhere you see the video, anywhere Belle face front.
That's so.
My dear, let me now see. I want us to actually talk about this because you guys have been buzzing. Vicky, what's the difference? So today we're going to be talking about the difference between community care and working in a care home. So at the moment, Tola will take as my madam now, you know.
We did learn together, my sister. We did learn together.
Madam, what's it working in the care home?
Well, it has been an experience. Well, from my own personal experience, it has been everything I thought it would be, in the sense that I wanted to come into healthcare for the first time. Like, this was like my induction into healthcare. I wanted to be able to shadow someone and understand the job before I branched into other aspects of care. So it lived up to its expectations. I wasn't looking to go into dementia, but that was where I got my employment in. So the care home that I work with has residents that have old age dementia. Excuse me. So some of them are different stages of dementia. We also have a section where we have nursing residents. So we give care to residents who require nursing assistance, and then we also deal with residents who are at different stages of dementia. So that's the experience. It has been a roller coaster of emotions, as I've said in quite a number of my videos. But yeah, it has really been everything I thought it was going to be. So yes.
So basically, Tola just talked about shadowing. So one thing generally, whether care home, NHS, or community care, there's always something we call shadowing. And shadowing simply means a senior colleague or an older person teaching you what the job is all about, teaching you about your residents, teaching you
the etiquettes of the job.
Exactly. So for community care, because community care has to do with going from one person's house to another, you go from Mr. A to Mr. B to Mr. C to Mr. D. So when you shadow, your senior will take you around and tell you, oh, Mr. A likes his tea cold. Oh, Mr. B likes his tea hot. Oh, Mr. C likes his tea warm. Stuff like that. So that's basically shadowing. So what's your time frame in working in a care home?
For full-time staff, we work 3 days this week and then 4 days next week. So the days you are on this week, you are off next week. But if you want to pick up extra shifts, or you want to be called in when there's shortage of staff, you can indicate that to your manager and then they'll call you. And also, if you want to work less shifts, I know there are students who work in my care home as well. So it just depends on how many hours you want to work. Because I think I got that question a lot. The people were asking, how many hours do you work? So it depends on you. And you can also tell them if you want to work during the day or during the night. They make exemptions. They also, they make exemptions for you if you can only work at some certain time. Some people, the standard shift is 12 hours, but some people do 6 hours, some people do 10 hours, some people do 8 hours, some people do the full 12 hours, and some people also work overtime. So yes.
So you as a full staff now, do you do 12 hours compulsorily?
I do 12 hours every
compulsory thing as a full staff?
It's not compulsory. Like, if I want to work, if I'm on shift tonight and I go in tonight, I can tell them I want to knock off early. So I clock out on time. So it depends on you, but you just have to let them know ahead of time so that they are not short-staffed.
Okay. So now the thing about us that are under sponsorship, is a contract.
Yes.
And it states that this is what you have to do every week. So for community care now, community care is dicey. With community care, I don't think you have that liberty of saying, oh, you want to do night shift or morning shift, because community care is
at any time of the day.
Exactly. So you can, for example, wake up in the morning by 7 a.m. and you will close by 10 p.m., for example, in a day. And tomorrow your rota is saying that you're going to resume work by 3 o'clock and close by 10 o'clock. And the next day your rota is saying you're going to resume by 4 and close by 10. The next day you might be 7 a.m. till 2 o'clock. So it just depends on your rota, but you must complete your contracted hours of 39,
Yes.
44, 42, 48 hours a week. So with community care, once you wake up in the morning, you have to go for your calls. That's what we call it. So we have like 4 kind of calls you do for a particular client. Let's say Mr. A, you have to see him in the morning, you have to see him at lunch, you have to see him at
Tea time and
tea
supper.
time, you have to see him at bed call. So these are the things you do for each person's house you go to. So if you're going to do a full day, so let's say you do from 7 a.m. till roughly 10 a.m., you go and eat your own breakfast as a human being. You resume at 12 o'clock till, let's say, some minutes to 2, you go and eat your lunch. You come back. That 2 o'clock now, maybe you resume by, let's say, 4 p.m. You go and, before that 4 p.m., you should have had your dinner, then you work till like 10 p.m., for example. So there are these breaks, like this kind of long hours break. I know people always message me my videos and say, Vicky, they're giving you 3 hours breaks. Are they paid for? I don't think any break is actually paid for. Is your break paid for?
No. We work 12 hours, but we only get paid for 11 hours.
Exactly. So I don't think any break is actually paid for. So this is just like a rough estimate of what your rota can look like when you're doing the community care.
All right. So in community care, is there anything like career progression? Because even where I work in the care home, what we do is people who have or who indicate interest to the care home can tell them, oh, I'm interested in becoming a senior carer. What can I do? And then my manager would just tell you, okay, this course and this course and this course. If you're okay, we can sign you up for that. And then after a while, you get the certification. You have to pass some practicals like for medication administration and all of that. You have to pass that. And then you get onto the next band. So that is how it is in care home. I don't know how it is in the NHS. But what's it like in community care?
So in community care, I know people always ask me, Vicky, how are you? Because why you're a senior carer? So with community care now, I would use the word, it automatically makes you a senior carer. And you and I know that the role of a senior carer from a carer is medication.
Yes.
So with community care, you do medication.
Yeah.
So instantly, while you're doing your trainings, they're already training you for medication as well.
Okay.
So because you're going to a client's house, either to prompt the medication or to administer the medication. So when I mean prompting is to remind the person, oh, you need to take your medication.
To use your medication.
Administer means you have to give it to the person and make sure the person has taken
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So with being a community care person, during your trainings, all these things you're trained. Even down, I can do suctioning right now. So they train you for suctioning, they train you for catheter, they train you for, like, you're trained for everything. So if tomorrow I want to even apply to the role of a senior care, let's say I'm coming to the care home. Ideally, a care home will want me to start from a care assistant.
Yes.
So if tomorrow I tell them, oh, I can do medication, I can do suctioning, I show them my certifications and whatnot, by all means, I'm going to get the role of a senior carer instantly because these trainings have been done already. And that's the beauty of community care. With the community, you can do medication, you can do documentation. Like I do documentation as well. You can do, you're still doing the personal care. So there is more work with community. It's not like the care where it's divided that the care assistant should just do the personal care of the
no, in the care home we do personal care. I drain catheters as well. I do documentation. I'm doing my training for medication as well right now. We also do monitoring.
There's actually room for career progression, but just know that if you're progressing in your career, you're probably progressing into like the supervisory role where you now be the charge of the community health workers or the carers, quote unquote. Because coming in immediately, you're already in the position of a senior carer. You are
Yeah.
you like
Yeah. You work solo most of the time. You're a lone worker.
working, exactly. You need to be focused because you're putting all these things together. So when you're putting all these things together, you do not want to make any mistake because it can
Yeah.
cost you your job.
Besides,
So
there are no weaknesses. There are
exactly,
no weaknesses. So I think community care is like risk is like high. You have to be very meticulous, very careful. Unlike the care homes where you can have more than one person in the room or in the area where you are working. Unlike community care, I think you have to be extremely careful because if there's a mistake, you have to either document it or report it to say that, okay, this was what happened. This was what I did to salvage the situation.
thank you, my sister. Like the amount of
So
calls I make on a daily basis,
yeah, yeah,
MTN no do pass me right now because I need to save my head. Even self,
yeah,
I think my supervisor should be tired of me because, hello, this is what I saw when I came here. What do you
yes,
want me to do? And the thing about community care, because it's lone working, if you watched my last video because I saw your comments when
yes,
I was
yes, I
hammering
think.
carefulness,
Please,
carefulness.
even in care home, but I think for community care, number
Ah,
one,
okay.
this is my candid advice. If you don't have any previous experience in care or healthcare, if you don't have any experience, please don't apply there yet.
Yes.
I'm saying yet, don't apply there yet until you've had training, until you know what you're doing, because you will be working alone. And this is people's lives we're talking about. You are going to be liable. These things go to court, these things are investigated. So if there's anything that you do that puts a dent on your image, you can say, oh, I'm not a nurse. I don't have an NMC pin to protect. It really doesn't work that way because it goes on your DBS.
Yes.
I've said this thing before.
Your
You may not
DBS,
have
your
you
pin
may not have NMC PIN, but you have DBS to protect.
is your pin,
Once,
no.
once your DBS is gone, or there's a report, or there's a case on your DBS that is either being investigated, or there's one question mark, there's one comma. My brethren and my sister, if you leave that place, you may not be able to get another job in care, and that's just gospel truth. Don't go to community care first. Go and get training. Go to the care homes, or go and work with at the NHS. Get this training first before you go there because it's high risk. It's a high
And
risk job.
that's what I used to tell people. I've told people a lot of time, and I've said it in most of my videos. I tell people the UK will tell you no experience. Quite all right, though. I'm not saying they will not train you, but believe me, guys, if you don't have
Once you're
prior
on your own.
understanding and you're coming to do community care, see, I'm not even smiling. Like, if you don't
It's
have
the
it, you
truth.
don't have it.
It's the
Especially
truth.
working with somebody that has that training. Like, I know what I see on a daily basis as a and another thing about community care, let me even put that out. Remember, you're going to people's homes.
Yes.
Anything can happen. Somebody can
Yeah.
accuse you that you collected something from them,
Or you sexually harass them.
or you sexually harass them, or you're financially abusing them. So if you're doing, that's why I always say, in everything you do in another man's country, always back it up with prayers. I don't know if you're not religious, sorry, but I'm a religious person, and I will tell you, each morning you wake up from sleep, say your prayer for God's guidance as you're going to do this work as a community care worker, because emergencies can just happen at any time,
Yeah.
and you are going
Yeah.
to be. It's not like the care home. I've not been in the care home, but I know at least with the care home, if an emergency happens, you can easily go home and the next
You
person
can
is there.
Yeah, you can call someone, or you call, if you're the carer, you can call the senior in charge, or you call the nurse in charge.
You just have
Hi.
to wait for nurses to come. Those ones are called district nurses. You wait for them to come. If they can, if what you're telling them does not sound interesting to their ear, they'll tell you to call the ambulance. And babies,
Once ambulance get there.
let me. You want to answer question in Naya, mate? So
It
you
is
just have
well. We're not trying to scare anybody, but we're just giving you the gospel truth. We're not trying
what
to scare anybody, like don't apply, don't come, the work is hard. No, that's not the idea of this video. The
is not
idea is so that you understand the gravity or how serious this job is. A lot of people might not fully understand what we're saying, until they get there. Like I've said in the video that I posted last, experience is the best teacher. Like nothing will prepare you for your own experience. You might watch all these videos, watch YouTube videos, get training online, like watch videos on manual handling and personal care and all of that. But nothing will really prepare you for your own experiences. No 2 days are the same. Even in care homes, no 2 days are the same. Like what you face today with a resident who may not even have dementia, come back tomorrow, or tomorrow is even too long. Come back in 10 minutes, 2 minutes. It could be another scene entirely.
That's why we are saying be prepared. Do your background work. And that's why you hear a lot of people are running away. People are not running away from care home. Most times people run away is community care. Truth be told.
Yeah.
Because we're not even talking about the driving. That one is coming later. I'm coming for you. So truth be told, you need to be really, really, really prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually if you are coming in as a and fortunately or unfortunately, that is the role that is available at the moment.
Yeah, that's where most of the jobs,
yes,
most
that's available at the moment. So have a plan, because lone working, you have to be on alert to save yourself, because anything can happen to you in a client's house. I'm not saying that if you go, somebody will kill you or whatever, but you need to be prepared at all times. That's what I can tell you. So the next thing I'll talk about when it comes to community care is driving. Now, you also tell me how it is community yourself to the care home. So with community care, because we have to go from one client's house to another, the driving,
one end of town to the other end.
But it's actually fun. Sometimes you might just have clients that are like 2 minutes away from each other. Sometimes you might have clients that are 15 minutes away from each other. And remember, you're working with a time. Your rota might say 10 o'clock. But if you're not fast or you're not doing what you have to do and you're not doing it well, you might end up closing by 11, sometimes past 11. Other times you might close earlier than even the 10 o'clock because you are done with your clients. And that's the thing about community care. Your supervisors can just
drop in on you.
And if you're doing nonsense, that is because when they drop in on you, they are going to be there from beginning to end to see that are you actually doing what you're supposed
to do? Doing the work. Yeah.
So if you think, oh, this is my safeness, I beg, if I go Mr. A house, let me just do anyhow. The day your supervisor, what scenario your manager drops in on you and you don't know what you're doing, I don't know what to say to you. So
all right. So for care homes, we get asked if we drive or not. Well, I have a driving license. Well, I'm working night shift anyway, so I'm more required to take residents out at that time because that's off the time they should be in the homes at that time, because my shift starts by 8 p.m. and I clock off by 8 a.m. Carers who work the day shifts, for those of them who have indicated that they have their own cars or their mobile, they get to take some of the residents who are semi-mobile or who can move around. They get to take them out if they have personal errands to run, like maybe they want to get to the salon, they want to do their nails, they want to
shop. Are you trying to tell me that people in the care home go out?
Yes, some of them do.
Oh, really?
Yes, some of them do. Some of them are just there, like some of our nursing residents, they're there just for us to provide personal care to them. Some of them would want to run some of their errands. Some of them don't want the hairstylist that comes to the care home. They have their own hairstylist outside the care home, so they go there for their nails, their hair. Some of them like to go shopping. The only things that I've seen that happen on the night is when there's an emergency and the ambulance has been called in. If the resident that was involved in the emergency or had a fall or had to be taken to the hospital, if the person is a nursing resident, one of us has to go with the ambulance with the resident. So sometimes you can either go with the ambulance or you go in your personal car.
Personally, I would say community care is good, but you just need to know the job. One. 2, you need to be extremely careful.
Cautious.
You need to know how to communicate when you're
Yeah,
doing community care.
yeah,
Your phone should be on, if possible, buy Nokia Touch when you're coming, if you're doing community care,
yeah,
because your phone should have power in it. And with community care, you need to document down to the person had fluid. Did the person bath? Did the person do other care? Did the person take
yeah.
fluid? What did the person eat? Did the person change
I
clothes?
always include that in my handover. My handover like this is like SC. It's like
My
SC.
colleagues are tired of me. They'll tell me wetin you dey type. So you need to be able to document, and this is where
Yeah,
IELTS comes in.
yeah,
That is where IELTS comes in. They're not stupid when they say do IELTS because they know what is involved in the job you're
yeah,
coming to do. So you
yeah.
need to document, you need to communicate, you need to be careful, you need to be attentive, you need to be assertive, you need to be detailed. If you're
Think
doing
on your feet.
Think on your feet if you are doing community care, and you need to pray for guidance and wisdom if you're doing community care. And trust me, community care is shalaye, because when you have those long hours break, you can come home, shoot a video,
Mm.
Netflix,
Oh, really?
work, then you go back to work and whatnot. But bear in mind, you are being paid. I know this is the one that people want to hear. You are being
Mm.
paid for only the work you do.
Yeah,
You're not being paid
yeah.
for the hours of breaks that you have.
Each resident has a file. So after you give personal care, you've given the suppers, because there's a structure to how we work. Okay, so when we start the shift around 8 p.m. for night shift. You start with suppers. No, you first go for handover. You get the handover from the day staff. They tell you what has happened with each of the residents. There are different floors. So it depends on what unit you're working on. So you go for handovers, they tell you what has happened with each resident on that floor or on that unit that you're working on. And then after that, you go and prepare suppers. You give each and every one of them suppers. You have to know the diet of each and every one of them. You can't give the wrong diet to the wrong resident. You can't give the wrong type of fluid to the wrong resident. Each of them have different ways that they like to have their teas. They have different ways they like to have their coffees. I mean, there's a lot of detail that has to go into even fluids. Some of them are on thickeners. I've never, I think I did one of the courses on diets that
Nutrition.
talked about thickeners, but yeah, nutrition. Yeah, thank you. I didn't know what thickeners were in full because, like I said, I'm coming from a different
Background.
background. So yes, I didn't know what thickeners were until I actually saw it, and then I went to go and do a study up on thickeners. You can't, if they are on thickeners, you have to give them the right amount of scoops per meals that they drink. So you have to note all of that down. Note how much of the fluids that you gave them, how much they drank. If you
Yeah.
gave them one banana, if they ate it halfway, you have to note it down. If they've had a bowel movement, you have to note what type of bowel movement it is, from type 1 to type 0 to type 7. So you have to note everything. Now, each of them have their files. So you have to write every single detail. And then at the end of the shift, well, from around 12:30, 11, 12, thereabouts, after they've had their suppers and you've cleaned up, you start putting them to bed one by one. So you can have about 17 residents, and then each and every one of them, you take them to their rooms and you put them to bed. Make sure that they've been changed. Some of the residents are also on 4-hourly turns. Some of them that are the ones that are bedridden, you have to turn them every 4 hours so that they don't have bed sores and they're not just stiff after a while. So you have to do that every 4 hours of the shift till that's the last like 3 turns till the shift is over. And then after that, the night carries on. You answer buzzers because some of them can wake up in the night and say, we want something. You have to get it for them. Just your job is just to make them as comfortable as possible. So that carries on. And then in the morning, we start to get them up, wake them up in the morning, dress them, clean them up.
So what time do you now have to document all these things? Because with community care, if we finish with Mr. A, you can, let's say you're doing double ups, and that's one other beauty with community care. one person can be documenting while the other person is driving to the next person's place. So in the care
Okay.
home, when do you document? Is it after you dated this person and taking care of this person, you will document it before doing it for the next person?
All right. So the thing is, as the shift progresses, we don't write anything until around 10. And by that 10, we are just noting what we give them for suppers. We give out the suppers around 8:30. So we don't write anything until around 10 when things have started to settle down and we've given everybody their suppers at that time. So by 10, 9:30, 10, we start to write down what we've given them. And then we wait till they finish the suppers. As soon as we clear up the suppers and we start putting each and every one of them to bed. Once they're all in bed and things have started to slow down again, bear in mind, it's a 12-hour shift. So once things have started to slow down again, we now go and start documentation. We write down how much of what we gave them that they took. We also write, for those that we put into bed, we have to change every one of them. So if they've had a bowel movement or if they just peed in their pad and they just need a pad change, all we do is we note it down like they had a bowel movement or no bowel movement, or the pad was dry, things like that. We just note it down. And that goes from around 12:31 to around 4. So within that time, that's the time we do most of our documentation. And then in the morning, we start getting them up around 6:30, 7 thereabouts. And then when we're done getting each and every one of them up, we go again and do documentation. Now, this is where we do handover. Handover is like the conclusion of what has happened during the whole shift. So you write down whoever is in charge of the floor or in charge of the units. So if you are working in a unit and then there's about 10 or 8 residents on that unit or 16 or 17 residents on that unit, you have to do a handover sheet for whoever is taking over your shift in the morning. You have to write a handover for each of the residents, like where you met them, what kind of diets they had, if they had good diet and fluids, if they had a bowel movement, you just have to document all of that and then hand it over. If they've also accepted their medication, but some of them who refuse to take their medication and were prompted, you have to write it down and say, okay, this person refused medication, or this person threw up their medication, this person took all of their medication. So you note all of that down and then you hand it over to the next, to the day staff.
At any part of health you're working in, community care home, I just tell people, do what works best for you.
Yeah.
I know what works best for me. She knows what works best for her. Do what works best for you, but don't take it out of the bracket until you have tried it. Our own is to tell you our personal experiences. And
your experience might be different.
Exactly. At the end of the day, you choose what works for you and or where you want to be. So that is me. Okay.
All right, guys. You have heard both experiences from the care home and from community care. The choice is up to you. I believe that you are better informed or you are better equipped to make your own decision as to where you would like to work. This is our own 2 cents, guys. All right, so if you have any further questions, remember to leave them in the comment section. We will be on hand to answer questions. This, like we've said at the beginning of this video will be on Vicky's channel as well as on my channel. Do well
to subscribe to Tola's channel.
Do well to subscribe and join the conversation.
Yeah.
And we will see you in the next video. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.